Imagine getting an MBA while at the same time handling the pressures of a top-flight career. That's exactly what people are doing at Northwestern's prestigious Kellogg School of Management, which this year turns 100 years old. Here's an in-depth look at the program through the eyes of two students. Both are accomplished professionals, both are going through the strains of juggling career, family, and school, and both can explain why they're sure it'll all be worth it. Meet Tom.
My name's Tom Achel. I'm the Vice President of the Central Division for Passenger Sales with American Airlines.
Meet Raquel.
I'm Raquel Creighton, National Marketing Director for Ebony Magazine.
He is facing the challenges of how to keep American Airlines competitive in a global marketplace.
The airline industry is an industry of constant change, and you have to stay on top of this change and be willing to change and embrace it in order to be able to stay alive and remain profitable.
She is facing the challenges of how to keep Ebony Magazine competitive in a rapidly transforming media world.
What it represents in the African American marketplace is, it's an iconic brand. But at the same time, we have the challenge to still capture that younger audience, and that's really our focus.
As their careers progressed, both Tom and Raquel found themselves facing tough questions. As business leaders, what more could they bring to their companies? With all their experience on the inside, where could they go on the outside to get an edge?
And the more I learned about Kellogg, I just realized it would be very beneficial to me to be able to get the most current thinking in the lines of academia, the networking opportunity that is brought about by entering into a program, so that as new problems face me on a day-to-day basis, I can apply the most current knowledge and thinking to solving my day-to-day problems.
We have a culture, and there's a way that we do things. It's the usual pains of growth that you have in a company that has been established for X amount of time. So it's great to be able to go out and get the perspective to see and learn more about how others do things.
Okay, here we go again.
The answer was Kellogg's Executive MBA program, a rigorous 2-year journey that enables executives and entrepreneurs to reach and go beyond just getting a business degree. They learn how to conduct business in a more strategic way and do it on a global scale.
So what we're going to do is combine the two, and we'll talk about allocating multiple resources to multiple products.
In 1976, Kellogg's Executive MBA program was born. In 1991, the exec program was ranked #1 in the nation by Businessweek magazine, and ever since has held on to that top spot. Still, for many students like Raquel and Tom, going back to school isn't just about boosting credentials.
I think that the majority of our students are going back to achieve something like their MBA to help them do what they're doing better. And as such, they're looking to go back and put some structure and theory and bones behind what are already some pretty good decision-making skills, but they want to feel even more sure of their decision-making as they continue to go further in their career paths.
For Tom Achel, that meant learning something extra about international business. Kellogg offers executive MBA students opportunities to take elective courses at one of 4 international campuses.
By taking advantage of the close association Kellogg has with the branches in other parts of the world, like Germany, where I'll be in May, or in China, you then also have the experience and exposure to professors from those parts of the world. And you get to hear from their perspective what are the key things in the business environment going on their continent. I can then bring that back into how that plays into my day-to-day business life when I'm making decisions based back here in Chicago.
For Raquel Graham Creighton, the edge was learning how to manage younger staff.
And Stacey, I'm going to review your comments too.
Right, that's what I think.
And most important, how to market to a 20-something audience, often referred to as Generation Y.
We had a whole lecture in a marketing series that we had about managing Gen Y. So we go through the whole, thing about baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, breaking it down by me being there and sharing it with the company and getting the perspective on even learning about Gen Y is something that, I brought back to say, This is what I learned.
Both Raquel and Tom echo an oft-heard mantra that what makes Kellogg stand out is its emphasis on teamwork. Simply, 50% of the program's value comes from the classroom, the other 50% from students, particularly from small study groups that stick together throughout the entirety of the 2-year program. The study groups are a mix of professional backgrounds and cultural experiences.
So you have these different walks of life that when you come to a common problem, at first you think, well, I'm so different, they're not going to understand what's happening to me or my business. But the reality is, when you get into the core issues, they're very similar. It's what are the costs driving your business? How do you strip out the cost? How do you build customer loyalty?
You're learning so much, not just from class, but you really learn more from your classmates because they're all high-level executives and they're coming in there with experience. I think it's always great to get the perspective of how things are done outside of the building.
Bottom line, getting a new perspective can be exciting, but it's also a lot of work. For most students, at first, managing management school isn't easy, but especially so for parents with young families. Tom and his wife have 3 kids. Raquel and her husband have 1, and surprise, 1 on the way. Time, something a first semester student at Kellogg's Executive MBA program finds in high demand and short supply. At first, Raquel Graham-Creighton, National Marketing Director for Ebony Magazine, was taken aback.
First semester, I thought I was going to die. I mean, it almost broke me, and that's what the first semester is there for in the executive program, because you haven't figured it out. The amount of work you get, you can't do it if you didn't work.
Tom Achel, an executive with American Airlines, found himself trying to squeeze in a whole new layer of responsibilities.
American, this is Tom. You juggle many different balls out there. You still have your work commitment, you have your family commitment, and then the study group.
Difficult as that may be, part of what Kellogg teaches is how to manage time without losing focus.
We have a class taught by Professor Chopra on operations, and I can take the class on there on how do you achieve operational excellence and efficiency, and immediately think that through in processes that we do at the airport.
We're executives, we're traveling, we're juggling family, all of it. And their point is time is finite, and trying to pack all of this and extend your days is not smart. That's not what this is about. You have to figure out what is important, and everything that you do, you can cut it in half, and you will find that you can do it.
Keep in mind, Kellogg Executive MBA students are not full-time. They carve out Fridays and weekends from their busy schedules and work through an intensified curriculum. To help them manage it all, Kellogg offers 4 different types of schedules to complete the work.
The balanced needs of our students are as diverse as the student audience. So we've got everything from programs which are perfect for people who live and work in the Chicagoland area, which is where our campus is housed, to people who commute from across the country and in many instances outside the U.S.
For Raquel, the need to manage time better is especially critical right now. Unexpectedly, she says she is expecting, and somehow, with everything else she's doing, she and her husband will be caring for a new baby.
Right. I had this thing in my head where I was petrified to tell them. I thought I was like the only woman ever that had gotten pregnant during, getting their MBA, and they're like, we see it all the time, so we work with you.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
Like Raquel, Tom understands the impact of getting an MBA on his family.
That's great. My wife and 3 great kids, they're going through this program with me because as I'm studying and going to school and going to the study groups, that means they're doing things from the family side. So there is a grind to it, but now that I see the light at the end of the tunnel, I know it'll all be worth it.
For these students, what makes the Kellogg Executive MBA worth it is both the process and the product. By challenging themselves as they are ascending professionally, they discover the ability to rethink their own jobs and companies.
Marketing is a field that evolves so quickly, similar to digital. By the time you learn it, it's in the past. I just think that there's so much more that I can contribute to the company by learning more about marketing and just in the marketplace as a whole.
And in the end, as Kellogg Executive MBA graduates, they believe they'll be more adept at adjusting to the marketplace, more adept at being leaders.
Well, thank you for letting me come into your meeting. At the end of the program, when I'm finished with this, what I hope to do with it is to take the learnings to be able to then apply it to my day-to-day job, but then even maybe future job opportunities within the company as to how does it make us to be more competitive so that we can continue to be the world's leading airline. And the learning that takes place is a great part of the overall Kellogg experience.